Welcome back to Pop Dissected. Today, we're going to be talking about Carly Rae Jepsen, the underdog of the pop music industry. Though having one of the best-selling digital singles of all time, this track seems to be the only music people recognize Jepsen for. So in this video, we're going to briefly overview Jepsen's musical beginnings, and how even though her commercial success is relatively low, she has garnered a cult following amongst pop music fans alike. Let's find out why she isn't as recognized in the industry as others, and see what happened to Carly Rae Jepsen's music career. But before we begin, be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell for more future content on all your favorite pop stars. After attending a year-long program at the Canadian Performing Arts College, Jepsen went on to write and perform non-stop at local venues. Once she was persuaded by her drama teacher to audition for Canadian Idol, she did. Though she may have only placed third, Jepsen stated she was grateful she didn't win, as she earned exposure without having to be tied down by a contract. She signed to 604 Records in 2007, after a demo recording of hers gained traction, and then she'd go on to release her debut record, Tug of War, the next year. Though failing to chart entirely, it has since sold 10,000 copies in Canada as of 2012. However, the record's second and third singles, the title track and Bucket, charted at 36 and 32, respectively, on the Canadian Hot 100. To promote her record, Jepsen went on tour in 2009 with the Canadian group Marina's Trench. While touring, Jepsen would begin writing Call Me Maybe. Though only initially released in Canada on September 10, 2011, the track gained traction after Justin Bieber tweeted about it, leading to Jepsen getting signed to Schoolboy Records under Scooter Braun. And from there, Call Me Maybe became one of the biggest pop hits ever, reaching #1 on 20 worldwide charts, including the Hot 100 and Canadian Hot 100. It was the best-selling digital single worldwide of 2012, selling over 12 million copies. The track has been certified diamond in the United States and was the first #1 on the Canadian Hot 100 by a female artist since Avril Lavigne's Girlfriend in 2007. Jepsen's momentum continued with the release of Good Time with Owl City, reaching #1 on the Canadian Hot 100 and #8 on the US Hot 100. And after that, things began to slow drastically. Jepsen released 3 more singles off Kiss, her second studio record. This Kiss peaked at 86, and Tonight I'm Getting Over You peaked at 90, both on the Hot 100. But on the Canadian Hot 100, they peaked at 23 and 88, respectively. With a smash hit single and a worthy follow-up, why did the later singles not do as well? I think the signs were there earlier than we realize. Call Me Maybe was initially off Jepsen's second EP, Curiosity, which had a second single, the title track, which failed to chart entirely, likely due to the massive success of Call Me Maybe. When a single becomes a smash hit, it becomes too big for its own good sometimes. Though Call Me Maybe launched Jepsen into the forefront of pop for a few years, it conversely begun the downward trajectory of her career. And of course, I mean that in terms of her recognition and chart placement among other artists. When an artist has a single as big as Jepsen, the single is who they are. That is what they're associated with. Some people expect that success and type of song to be replicated, but at the same time, they want something new. But when doing something new, it may be rejected in favor for what has already been done. It's a vicious cycle. I find it sadly ironic Jepsen was glad she didn't place first on Canadian Idol to avoid label contracts, but her biggest song put her in what might have been a similar situation. Many refer to Jepsen as a one-hit wonder, an artist who has a hugely successful single and then, well, falls off, so to speak. One-hit wonders can happen because their single overshadows their entire career, or the single speaks to a specific trend at the time, or because more consistent artists replace them. A lot of people see Carly Rae Jepsen as the Call Me Maybe girl. She isn't akin to other artists who have a vast catalog of singles or records associated with them, at least not in a mainstream way. Call Me Maybe, being the hit it was, overshadowed all her other releases off Kiss. Call Me Maybe peaked at number 1 on the US Hot 100 on June 23rd of 2012, and it stayed there for a whole 9 weeks. And during those 9 weeks, she released 2 more singles, This Kiss and Almost Said It, the latter not charting at all. Even the single Tonight I'm Getting Over You wasn't anywhere close to the success of Call Me Maybe or Good Time, and that was released in 2013. That same year, she released a standalone single, Take a Picture, which failed to chart. Now, let's jump ahead to the release of Emotion, her 3rd record, when she began to receive critical praise, but conversely seen as a quote, commercial flop. Peaking at 16 on the Billboard 200 and number 8 on the Canadian Albums Chart is not bad at all. Though selling less than Kiss in its debut, this by no means is a bad performance. One thing we can look at is the lead single, I Really Like You, peaking at 39 and 14 on the US and Canadian Hot 100 respectively. As a point made in many of my videos, the lead single is crucial to the success of a record. Though artists have had second singles perform better than the leads to help draw attention to themselves, when you have Jepsen's track record following Call Me Maybe, the lead was crucial. The track had numerous televised performances, was positively reviewed, but this wasn't without its comparisons to Call Me Maybe. When you build up a legacy with a hit single, you're both expected to try something new, but stay the same, but evolve, but channel your essence of where you begin, all at the same time. Emotion didn't perform well not because of its material. The record released June 24th, 2015 in Japan, then worldwide August 21st, and then, since this apparently isn't worldwide, Europe on September 18th. All the songs released were at very odd intervals. 3 singles, I Really Like You, Run Away With Me, and Your Type were all released 4 months apart from each other in 2015. However, 4 promotional singles were released during the same exact period. All in all, 7 of the 12 standard tracks were released. Releasing literally over half your record amongst staggered release dates is a recipe for disaster. All the tracks essentially are sharing the spotlight, which results in all of them canceling out each other. This is further proven since none of the 7 tracks, except the lead, charted. But Run Away With Me did peak at 83 on the Canadian Hot 100. Her tour supporting this record is even more perplexing. She didn't visit her own home, Canada. She focused most of her dates in the US and then went to South Africa, the Philippines, and then a handful of dates in Japan and Europe. Now, I think it's great she went to a lot of places not many artists go to, South Africa and the Philippines, but I find it odd her bouncing around the map, not going to Canada or hitting a larger variety of countries and places. Though I do get this because the record wasn't internationally huge, but the touring scheduling just seems off to me. All of these factors, the staggered record release, releasing half the record, and the confusing tour, all contributed to the record not commercially succeeding on a bigger scale. But in spite of all of that, Emotion ended up on 10 decade-end lists and 28 year-end lists. Emotion was number 1 on 5 of the total 38 lists. The record was praised for showcasing Jepsen's artistic growth and transitioned from not trying to go after the charts and focus on the music and her storytelling, and many had noted by now she was a cult icon. Though it was noted the lead single, I Really Like You, was a huge misstep, calling back to Call Me Maybe, thus not being a single to truly showcase her artistic development. It's a brutal cycle. Critics also noted the very messy, poor, and confusing promotional cycle too. This leads us to Jepsen's most recent record, Dedicated and Dedicated Side B, a 2-part effort comprising her 4th studio record. Dedicated and Dedicated Side B peaked at 16 and 58 on the Canadian Albums Chart. Dedicated was the only part to chart on the Billboard 200 at 18. Party for One, the lead single off Dedicated, has thus far been the only single off the 2 efforts to chart, peaking at 100 on the Canadian Hot 100. But both of these efforts have ended up on year-end lists, praised for their production, 80s influence, and seen as perfectly polished pop. So through it all, what happened to Carly Rae Jepsen's music career? Well, as we've discussed, Call Me Maybe largely is the reason. The track overshadowed nearly all succeeding singles off Kiss. It set a standard of branding for Jepsen's image. You're either expected to keep that hit factor while evolving, break away from it, and evolve without changing in a way that's unfamiliar, but not in a way that alienates audiences who love you for your hit single. It's a challenge every single female artist has to deal with in this industry. Emotion had an incredibly messy rollout and promotional cycle, with a lead single, though being positively reviewed, was too similar to Call Me Maybe. So through all that, Carly Rae Jepsen became a blip on the pop radar. But similar to the video I just did on Rina Sawayama, Jepsen is earning mountains of praise, even without the charts, thus proving art surpasses the chart. With the emergence of stan culture on a variety of social media platforms, Jepsen has been able to earn a loyal fan base who strive to share her work. What has happened to Carly Rae Jepsen isn't unique. Plenty of incredibly talented artists blow up onto the scene, just to fall back and become cult icons, such as Charli XCX. What this shows is that through it all, if you're truly pursuing something you love and putting everything you have into it, the results will show. I mean, the amount of year-end lists Jepsen has ended on is incredible. I don't think Jepsen will ever gain back her success from 2012, but she will continue to be a critically acclaimed queen with a loyal following. She is an underdog. Though some may laugh at her for still making music even if it doesn't chart, she's showing everyone out there the passion comes first. The love for your work is what matters the most. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell for more future content on all your favorite pop stars.